Have you ever felt that trap, my brother? The one that hides beneath a perfect smile and words that seem to have been sculpted just for your ears, as if she were the only soul in the universe capable of truly understanding you. The one where every yes, every I understand perfectly. Every "you're so different from other men" sounds like the purest music, but deep down echoes as a subtle warning that your intuition, at times, ignores. Have you ever found yourself daydreaming about the perfect woman, without questioning whether that perfection was genuine or merely a skillful reflection of your own projected desires? Many men, in their sincere search for connection and affection, fall into the seduction of the surface. They become enchanted by what appears to be the ideal woman, an instant soulmate, without realizing that this image is very often a carefully constructed facade, a mirror where you see what you want to see. Have you ever wondered if what you hear in the initial phase of a relationship is the genuine truth of who she is, or a meticulously rehearsed script, precisely planned to emotionally bind you? The master Epictetus, with his timeless and brutally honest wisdom, warned us about the illusions of perception. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In the theater of modern relationships, what happens can be a skillful deception, a series of sweet words delivered with surgical precision. Think of a fisherman. He doesn't put what he likes to eat on the hook, but rather what the fish wants. Similarly, some women, and we are not here to judge them, but to understand them, cast the bait of perfect words, not because they genuinely feel them, but because they know exactly what you man yearn to hear, what your weaknesses and your most secret aspirations are. They study your desires, your fears, your dreams, and then, with mastery, regurgitate it all back to you in the form of compatibility. Think carefully, my brother. Recall that initial conversation that lasted hours, where she agreed with all your most ambitious dreams, laughed at all your jokes, even the lame ones, and praised you in ways no one ever had, touching on insecurities you didn't even know you had. Was it genuine? Was it her soul connecting with yours, or a masterful performance by an actress with a clear objective? You felt understood, loved, finally found, as if all your searches had come to an end. But the truth is that very often, unfortunately, it is just the beginning of a strategy. A strategy aimed at securing your emotional, financial, temporal, and, above all, your dedication. Have you ever found yourself living in a mirror where her reflection is all you see, and your own self is becoming blurred, increasingly indistinct? Have you started to see yourself through her eyes, to mold your opinions to align with hers? Believe me, my brother, you are not alone in this crossroads of self-deception and enchantment. This is a common trap on the journey of many men seeking love. The phase of sweet words has its expiration date, my brother. Once you're hooked, once she feels your devotion is secured, the melody shifts drastically. That perfect harmony gives way to a symphony of suggestions disguised as advice, veiled criticisms that undermine your confidence, and, at times, open demands that override your boundaries. The woman who once admired you for who you were, for your authenticity and unique traits, now begins to see you as a project, a blank canvas to be redesigned, molded in her image and likeness, according to the expectations she holds, the ideals she carries, or the type of man she believes you should be. Have you ever found yourself in this subtle, yet dangerous dance of molding, where an "I love your style, it's so authentic" transforms into a "don't you think that shirt is a bit worn out, maybe a more modern cut," or "Anne, your friends are great, you have so much fun," evolves into a "don't they pull you down sometimes? Don't they encourage you to grow?" Little by little, your hobbies, your passions, your way of dressing, the time you dedicate to yourself, and even your way of thinking, of expressing opinions, begin to be subtly or overtly questioned and, consequently, modified. Epictetus, with his unparalleled insight into human nature, would tell us with crystal clarity, men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. And, in this molding scenario, the things are your habits, your essence, your individuality, the pillars of your being. The views are hers, gradually transforming into a heavy burden on your shoulders, a weight you carry in the hope of maintaining her peace and approval. She no longer wants the authentic man she met and who attracted her. She wants the version she idealized, the version that fits into her own world, and she is willing to work tirelessly to achieve this perfection in you. Think about the last time you found yourself yielding to something you, deep down, didn't want to do, just to avoid a conflict, to calm the situation, or simply to please her. Did you cancel an important commitment with a longtime friend? Did you abandon a hobby that brought you joy and nourished your soul? Did you change your way of dressing to fit her tastes, even if it meant feeling uncomfortable in your own skin? Did you find yourself saying yes with your mouth, while your soul and your intuition screamed a resounding no? These small concessions, repeated over time, like drops of water eroding a stone, corrode your authenticity, your integrity, and ultimately your self-esteem. And the truth, my brother, is that deep down, the woman who molded you will not always respect you for having given in. True respect, unconditional respect, is often earned and maintained by integrity, by strength of character, not by malleability or by bending. You may be teaching her that your boundaries are negotiable, and that rarely results in lasting respect. This is the most dangerous phase, my brother, the one where the erosion of yourself becomes more evident, more painful, that subtle suggestions and criticisms turn into demands, and your incessant search for approval, for maintaining peace at all costs, becomes the driving force behind all your actions, all your choices. You transform into a chameleon, changing color and form to perfectly fit into the environment she creates, into the mold she desires for you. The plaster hardens around you, and you, man, realize, with a mix of sadness and panic, that you have become a diluted, faded, and almost unrecognizable version of yourself. You have drifted so far from who you truly are that you can barely recognize yourself in the mirror. Have you ever felt like an actor in your own life, my brother, playing a role to please an audience of one person? Your deepest thoughts, your genuine feelings, your sincere opinions, everything is filtered, censored, reshaped by what you believe she will approve of, by what will avoid conflict. This self-censorship is not a healthy concession. It is a slow poison that corrodes your soul. Epictetus, once again, offers a brutal, but ultimately liberating truth. No man is free who is not master of himself. Freedom here is not the absence of external chains, of arguments or her demands, but the intrinsic ability to govern your own mind, your own actions, your own reactions, and, above all, your own essence. Don't think, with all honesty, about the last time you silenced yourself to avoid an argument you knew was necessary, or when you forced a smile, a nod, to hide your deep frustration, your righteous anger, or your sadness. Do you remember who you were before her? The dreams you had, the passions that moved you, the non-negotiable principles by which you lived. Often, a man gets so lost in the pursuit of validation, of a love that seems conditional, that he forgets his own journey, his own mission, the greater purpose that drives him. He trades his life's purpose, his authenticity, for an illusory comfort, for a precarious peace that crumbles with her every disapproval, every dirty look, every sigh. Freedom, my brother, is not about having someone by your side at any cost, but about being yourself, in your fullness, regardless of who is by your side. The greatest price you pay for being molded is the loss of yourself. The good news, my brother, is that the key to your liberation is not in her hands, nor in trying to control her, which would be a losing battle. The key is in your own hands, in your own mind. Stoicism offers us the most powerful tool for any existential challenge, any relational dilemma, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus made this clear, with a simplicity that disarms the complexity of human suffering. Of things, some are in our control and others are not. This is the turning point, my brother. It is the line you must draw in the sand of your life. A non-negotiable frontier. Her behavior, the words she uses to manipulate you, her irrational expectations, her attempts to mold you, all of this is undeniably outside your control. You cannot force her to change who she is, to accept you as you are, and trying to do so, trying to force change in another person, is an endless source of frustration, suffering, and resentment. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the more it slips away. But what, then, is in your control? Your innermost thoughts, your beliefs about yourself, your self-esteem, your emotional reactions to external situations, your daily actions, your life choices, the boundaries you set, your decision to accept or reject her attempts to mold you, to diminish you, your choice to defend your own values, to honor your own truth, even if it costs you a relationship, your ability to step away, to disengage from what harms you, from what corrodes your inner peace. Have you ever felt powerless in the face of her emotional manipulation, her constant need to control you? Have you found yourself justifying her mistreatment, her unfair criticisms, her blatant disrespect, because that's just how she is, or because she had a difficult childhood? Recognizing that the power of your own mind, of your own actions, and, crucially, of your own inner peace, belongs to you, and only to you, is a revolutionary act. It is your declaration of independence, not from her, but from your own dependence on external approval. What colossal weight would fall from your shoulders, my brother, if you stopped trying to control the uncontrollable, the other person, and focused all your energy, all your virtue, on what you truly can change, yourself, your reactions, and your choices? The answer is, all the weight. It is the freedom of not being a slave to the emotions or expectations of others, with a deep and internalized understanding of the dichotomy of control. A real and tangible opportunity arises to apply the cardinal Stoic virtues in your life: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. In this context of relationships that try to mold you, each of these virtues becomes your greatest ally. Wisdom is the sharp discernment to distinguish between what is yours, your values, your essence, and what is hers, her projections, her manipulations. It is the ability to see reality as it is, without filters of idealization or fear. Courage is the inner strength to defend your truth, to remain true to who you are, even if it means confronting, setting firm boundaries, or, ultimately, stepping away from something that corrodes you. It is the courage to be unpopular for being authentic. Justice is being fair to yourself, above all else, not allowing your essence to be diminished, your worth to be negotiated, or your dignity to be trampled in the blind pursuit of approval. And temperance is having control over your own emotions, not acting impulsively, in anger, desperation, or neediness, but with reason, clarity, and an unshakable serenity, regardless of the external storm. Imagine yourself, my brother, in a hypothetical situation where she tries to control you again, using old or new tactics. What would be your reaction now, imbued with this new understanding and virtue? Would you give in for fear of loneliness or conflict? Or would you stand firm with the serenity of one who knows his own worth, drawing a non-negotiable line? Epictetus, with his sharp simplicity, urges us, never say, under any circumstances, I have lost it, but rather, I have given it back. What you need to give back to her is not the woman herself, but the narrative she imposed on your life, the secondary role she made you play, the distorted and lesser version of yourself that she tried to create and that you, out of weakness or neediness, accepted for a time. Think deeply about a time when you felt disrespected, diminished, invalidated. or even humiliated by her. Instead of giving in again, of swallowing your pride, of justifying the unjustifiable, or retaliating with anger, what would happen if you simply walked away, not in blind fury, but with a silent, calm, and irreversible resolution? This is the true strength of autonomy. It is the refusal to allow the corrosion of your character to continue, drop by drop, day after day. It is the conscious and non-negotiable decision that your integrity, your peace, and your dignity are worth more than any relationship that demands your annihilation, your self-dissolution. A man who defends his principles, who refuses to be molded, who remains true to himself, not only regains his self-respect, his self-accusation, but also, paradoxically, earns the respect, or the inevitable distancing, of those who previously tried to control him. The outcome may be painful in the short term, but it is liberating in the long term. The wise man, my brother, is not defined by external approval, by empty applause, or by superficial praise. He is defined by his own internal compass, by his code of conduct, by his non-negotiable values. He does not seek to be agreeable at all costs, nor to be the good guy everyone expects. He seeks to be true to his own truth, to his own essence. He understands, with a clarity that few achieve, that true passion in a relationship is not the volatile flame that seeks control, possession, or the annihilation of the other, but mutual respect for two autonomous souls, two individuals who unite to support each other, to grow together, without the need to annul the individuality or the mission of each. Epictetus, in his purest essence, does not tell us to dominate others, to control the lives of others, but to master ourselves. He calls us to a task that is, at once, the most challenging and the most rewarding. Do not concern yourself with the opinions of others, as long as your actions are correct. The woman who seeks to mold you does not fear your explosive anger, nor direct conflict. No, my brother, she fears something much deeper. She fears your autonomy, your indifference to her control, your unshakable spirit. She fears the man who refuses to be a blank page for her to write the story she desires. Because a man who knows himself, who masters himself, who is at peace with his own essence, is an impregnable fortress. He is a beacon that shines amidst the darkness of manipulation. It's time to stop seeking external validation, my brother. It's time to stop bending, shrinking, diminishing yourself before expectations that diminish you, that disrespect you. It's time to stop trading your essence, your vitality, your time, and your purpose for temporary peace, for conditional acceptance that, deep down, costs you your very soul. True peace, lasting serenity, resides in your own integrity, in your own sovereignty, in the unshakable conviction of who you are. Are you ready to build your own inner fortress, where joy, serenity, and purpose do not depend on who is by your side, but exclusively on who you are, your choices, and your actions? Remember, my brother, the journey to autonomy is not a destination, but a path of constant self-improvement, of continuous vigilance over your thoughts and actions. It is a daily act of courage, a declaration of freedom, a silent revolution within yourself. It is the promise of a life lived not to please others, but to flourish in your fullness, to fulfill your mission. What will you do today, at this very moment, to reaffirm your sovereignty and protect your essence, your peace, and your truth? The choice, as always, is yours, and that choice will define who you become. If this message resonated with you, like it, share it, and subscribe to join our growing community of strength and wisdom. Thank you.